automate the wealthy version of you in your business so that you can actually maintain that personality that is wealthy, and then from that place create whatever you want in your business. Because all our tasks, all our activities, all our even way of thinking and whatever it is we're doing and how we're behaving and how we're feeling about whatever we do in our business, whatever is being created or whatever is not working, all of that is either a personality identity that you embody that helps you create more of the good things, or that sabotages you and helps you only create, more of the bad things, the things you don't want. In other words, whoever you are being is allowing you to either create or miscreate. So today we're going to be looking at the automating that wealthy version of you that actually feels awesome and allows you to create in your business whatever you want. So if you're watching me live, let me know. Would like to know that you're here. Say hi. And if you're watching me on a replay, please hashtag replay so I know you've been here. And today, as I said, we're looking at how to automate the wealthy version of you. So does it feel sometimes like you're struggling to keep going? Like it's a hard thing within you, like you know what you need to do, but you're kind of pushing yourself, like you have this obligation, right? Like your business, from something that is positive and exciting, as soon as things don't work the way you would like, starts to feel like an obligation, start to feel like there's something wrong. And then sometimes that means, the energy goes down into that something wrong with me, and so on, right? Like we kind of create this own internal fear-based spiral. And that is actually an experience that a lot of women entrepreneurs have because of not knowing how to automate that wealthy component of themselves, that personality that actually allows them to feel in their business alive and harmonious and balanced, okay? So like you're trying to work at it. Put a 1 in the comments if that's your thing. Like you're trying endless strategies, you're doing a lot of things, and there's this, I'm working at it. I'm working at my business. Or maybe you feel like you're earning it. So put a 2 in the comments if that's your thing, if you feel like you're earning it. Like, I have to do all this inner work to get aligned. I have to make sure that I clean up all my energy attachments, all my emotional wounds, all my money problems internally, karma and whatever, in order to finally have a successful business. Kind of like I have to earn it through all this internal work. Or maybe you have this experience of constantly saying affirmations and setting intentions and doing vision boards and all sorts of things. And then you forget your intention one day and then you freak out like, oh my God, I sabotaged everything because for, 1 hour I was in a really dark place, or for a day I forgot to intend whatever I was intending, or maybe you forgot your intention altogether. So put a 3 in the comments if you have that fear that if your intention is not consistent, if your affirmation or whatever you're kind of stating about where you want to be, especially about your future, like I want to make 10,000 a month, I want to make 100,000 a year, I want to have this type of client and so on. Like if you're focusing on that, and then of course you're not focusing on it all the time, so sometimes you probably fall down with your emotional wave, and then it feels like you're in trouble, like somehow you're sabotaging this thing that you want to create. Or maybe you're trying to prove that you can do it, prove to someone in your life, or maybe even prove to yourself that you can finally make this 10,000 a month, that you can finally fill this program or whatever you're trying to do in your coaching business. So put a 4 in the comments if that's your experience, this proving energy. Because a lot of times we use those things that I just named, like working at it or earning it, or trying to do all this intention affirmation or proving as the drive to make something good happen in our business. But all those things are actually negative components. So if you're basing the drive on something that is based on scarcity, that cannot bring you into experience of wealth. So for the ones of you who don't know me, I'm Eugenia Oganova, and what I do is wealth energetics for business. So it's essentially like I help you clean up whatever is in the way of you creating what you want and helping you save years of pressure and forcing yourself into ineffective strategies for your business and marketing, and instead align you to your natural way, to your soul design. That way you only get to do what actually works for you, and your drive is based on the correct thing. This is how you can create a profitable and sustainable business, because you are being a wealthy version of you at all times. So those things I just named, those are typical negative drives that we think are gonna get us into positive result. Okay, and it feels hard. It feels like an obligation. It feels like you start to have doubt. You start to worry. What if you never gonna become wealthy? What if wealthy is somewhere out there? And when I say wealthy, to me, wealth energetics is not just about making money. Of course, it's a business, which means business should be profitable. It should make money. That's kind of the baseline of a business. But wealthy also means you as an individual, that you are wealthy. That means that you internally have whatever it means for you to be wealthy. In your health, in your relationships, in your well-being overall, in your emotional climate, in how you think about yourself, your business, and your reality, in what you believe about yourself and your business and your reality. All those components can be based on experience of wealth, of abundance, of being connected to the quantum field of possibilities from which you can pull in that wealthy version of your life. Or they can be connected to the field of scarcity, which is actually a morphogenic field that a lot of people connect to, where there's always not enough of something, and there's always a struggle to get something, and where there is competition, and where if you get something, then somebody doesn't, and so on. That is not actually how, in a harmonious sense, reality works. But when we are using incorrect drives to get us into the wealthy version of our reality, our business, and ourselves, we end up actually miscreating the very reality we desire. So the solution is, of course, utilizing the energetics of wealth from the quantum field in a correct way. So I'm going to tell you 3 things here that if you apply those to yourself and your business, you're going to notice that you are actually stepping into that wealthy version of yourself, which then will allow you to create the type of experience you want in your life, in your business, and internally within how you perceive yourself. Okay, so thing number 1 here, that's very important, is you need to find out why you want to be wealthy. And I know it's such a simple question, like everybody says, like, well, of course I want to be wealthy because I want to. Why? Because you want to, from the negative, pay off my debt, or pay off my mortgage, or buy a house I didn't have before so that I have a house, and so on. So imagine that you go through that list of why you want to be wealthy financially, and you write whatever comes out of scarcity or not enoughness, like whatever holes that you need to plug by being wealthy. Okay, when that is done, what is left? Why do you still want to be wealthy? Like, will you want to be wealthy after you paid off your debt, your mortgage, after you paid off your, student loans, after you bought the house you wanted, after you, put money in your kids' funds for college or future or whatever? After all of that, maybe, bought your car that you wanted, whatever. Then what? Because wealth is a continuous flow. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna get this 10,000 and great, wow, this is awesome. But what if you get 10,000 every single month? What if you get 100,000? What if your business generates 100 grand every single month? What if it generates $500,000 every month? Like, if you tune in to that energy. That does not, by the way, mean that this is exactly what you're shooting for. Maybe you don't want a business that generates $500,000 a month, because that's a very different business than, let's say, a small coaching practice or healing practice. So you might have your own desire there and how you want to experience your life. Not everybody wants to have, millions and millions of income a year. But if you have a business that generates about 100,000 a year or a little bit more, that's kind of a baseline for successful business. Anything under that is not actually a functioning business. It's more like a hustle, and you're getting by and you're making things happen with a lot of effort. So the key is always to get to that 10K months, which gets you to about 100 plus per year. That is the stable foundation. That's why everybody uses that number. Not because the number is important, because really, who cares? Number is just the benchmark. But it allows you to understand where are you within that perception of wealth. Everything up to that 10,000 a month is a lot of struggle. So there's still scarcity and wealth, and you're kind of figuring yourself out. When you get to 10,000 a month consistently, this is where it gets to be more of wealth in a sort of a stable way. This is where the energy of wealthy version of you is able to be maintained. And then on that, you can build as much or as little as you desire based on your personality preference. But that's why we're always talking about this 10,000 a month, because that is sort of a foundation of feeling within your being that you are wealthy, not based anymore on scarcity, on something you're, running away from or proving or building so that you can, plug in the holes in your life that are financial, but that you're actually stable. And in that place, other components of wealth are also present. This is when you start to feel more relaxed. You start to feel emotionally more abundant and grateful and open and all that stuff. So the key is to figure out from the beginning, before you gotten there, what is actually wealthy? Like, what does it mean to you? Your version of wealthy. That includes the financial, of course, but also other components. Like, why do you want 10,000 a month income? Why do you want a specific type of client? Think about it. Put it in the comments. What is there behind that? Like, why do you want this type of client or this amount of income per month? What is the actual reason? And be honest with yourself. It could be the reason from scarcity. It could be proving, it could be measuring up, it could be, well, they can do it, so I should be able to do it. It's okay, whatever it is, but you need to find what it is, because if you don't know, you cannot clean it up. And that means it kind of continues to live in scarcity instead of living in abundance. Okay? So, like, why do you want to be a coach or a healer or whatever your, personal transformation business is? Why do you want to be that person? There's probably some drive there to be a leader, right? Some drive to serve, to help people. Some drive to enlighten this world or to benefit it in some way. So put that in the comments. If you tune into yourself, why do you want to be whatever it is that you're calling yourself? Coach or a healer or an expert. Why? Why do you want to enhance that? So those components that we just looked at, they have to be linked to your soul work, to the bigger vision as to why you're here and what you're bringing through. Okay? This is kind of the big component of wealth, because we think of wealth a lot of times in a very 3D way, like it's just material, it's money. So being wealthy means having money. Being wealthy in the universal sense is much bigger than just having money. Of course, money is part of it, especially if you're running your own business. But being wealthy in connection with your soul work, that's a whole other thing than just being wealthy by getting money. I mean, this is why people have jobs, right? So if you're here, you're an entrepreneur. You're already somebody who chose to go your own way because you want to create a path where you can land your soul work onto this reality and then through your gift help people. So look at how in your understanding of yourself and of reality, being wealthy is linked to your soul work. And if it's not, it's a problem. Like, they have to be connected. So look at that. Maybe you've never thought about it. Maybe you always thought, well, money is over here and a soul work is over here. Or soul work sometimes brings money, sometimes not. But actually, in the universal abundance rules or laws, we are all meant to bring through our soul work and then get paid for it. It's just a matter of how you do it and how you look at yourself and what strategies you utilize as you're doing it. So what would be inside of you that wants to come out? Like, how do you label what your soul work is? So put that in the comments. And how that, of course, translates into wealthy for you. And how financial wealth is linked there as well, not just spiritual wealth or emotional wealth. Okay, so this is all the first component, the answering of this question as to why do you want to be wealthy? What's the internal drive there, okay? So the second component is staying committed to your soul work. So we just looked at soul work being something that is your unique gift, and that is meant to be the true desire for wealth. Not wealth in a scarcity sense, like when we desire wealth so that we can pay our bills or so that we can pay off the debt. That's not soul work desire. That is wealth and soul work separated. But we want to put them together. This is how we create true wealth. Those two have to be one. So how is your soul work and wealth through soul work linked together? And then commitment to soul work. That's the second component. So every time you wobble internally, every time you have this emotional wobble and your emotional wave goes up and down, and then you go down with emotional wave instead of staying afloat like you know you kind of meant to, but you keep going down with it. That's the lower self part of us. That's the fear-based, defense-based, internal personality. That is not the wealthy version of you. That is actually the version of you that's in scarcity. That's the part that starts doubting everything. So every time we go into, well, I don't feel like it, we're actually utilizing that fear-based version of us. So this is something that is a really big deal in the coaching industry. And lately there's been so much said about, respecting the emotion and loving yourself and being kind to yourself. And yes, all of that goddess stuff is totally awesome. And it definitely needs to be in the business. But a lot of times, unfortunately, that gets used as an excuse to not do the work. Because then it translates us to, as I said, well, I don't feel like it. And then, mistranslating that as, oh, well, I'm not aligned with it, or, well, it doesn't quite land. When in reality, if you kind of put that aside and you tune into what is my soul work, what am I really committed to, then that's where the desire comes from. From that place, it doesn't really matter if your lower self, fear-based part of you doesn't feel like it. What does matter, though, is the bigger drive. Like if you're here to serve, if you're here to deliver your gift, well, then you show up and deliver your gift, even if you don't feel like it. You still have to bring that part along. You have to love her. You have to support her. You don't have to be mean to her or suppress her or ignore her. So we're not saying that that part should just be pushed aside and instead you push through with your will. Not saying that at all. I'm saying actually allow the soul desire to be your guide. Then you don't have to use your willpower to override your fear. Then instead, the fear just kind of comes along for the experience of whatever the bigger thing that you are choosing to put out there into the world, okay? So this means that your fear is linked to the protection mechanism from before, like it did not feel fully safe to show up as a child. So there's some parts of you that are in resistance to doing the work that will land your soul work here on earth in your business, because it's scary to show up on video, or it's scary to write a really exposing post, or it's scary to contact somebody. What if they don't respond? And so on. All those little things. Maybe it's scary for you to be a leader in a sales conversation. Maybe it's scary for you to lead in your coaching practice, and instead you end up acquiescing to the client story. So all those components, like when we have to be brave and courageous and show up because we stand for our soul work, for the gift that has been given to you so that you can deliver it to the world, that's where that fear-based side of us doesn't get to drive. It gets to be a passenger and enjoy the ride, or maybe not enjoy it and freak out about it. Sometimes that happens too, but it still gets to come along without being the navigating factor. You now are an adult, which means that you create your own safety. So that childhood story about, but I'm not safe to do this, but what if something happens? What if I do this and it doesn't work? Well, it's true, you can do something and it doesn't work. Then you just do it again. Because when the self-worth is not linked to the action, because you're not trying to prove anything, then you actually are free to create. You're free to bring that soul gift through you. So this is what commitment to soul work means. It's realigning in those moments of emotional wobble to your higher self to make sure that you're creating from that place. You know, that no matter how you feel, if your feelings are or emotions are from the lower self, because it's scared, it's freaking out, it's resisting, it's rebelling, you comfort that part, but you still tell it kind of like, we still gotta go do. It's like a little kid who says, well, I don't want to, go to school, or I don't want to, eat this food. But you know that this food is healthy for the child and school is beneficial for the kid's education. So as a good parent, you wouldn't just say like, oh, okay, well, you don't feel like going to school, so I guess we're just not going to school. Or you don't feel like eating it, well, okay, we're just not going to eat it. Because if you do this consistently, then your child isn't going to grow up a healthy and, intellectually capable adult, right? So it would be really bad parenting if you keep acquiescing to the child's fear, because then you're not actually being a parent. So being a parent in that case would be to support the child in helping her to desire the good thing. Like if she needs to eat certain food because it's healthy, it's your job to make that food something that she wants, instead of forcing it on her or acquiescing to, okay, we're not gonna eat that food. It's like, no, the food is still gonna happen. But how can we make that meal good for you, desirable for you? The same thing with school, right? Like school's still gonna have to happen. The child will still have to go to school if she wants to or not. But as a parent, it's your job to help the child to make it more fun, to start looking at it from a different perspective, or to find out if there's something wrong and how can that be adjusted so that the child does feel better about going to school. In other words, it's our job as the energetically, as parent, that's your wealth energetics, as an internal grown-up adult, which is the higher self. It's our job as the higher self part of us to parent our lower self, the scared, defensive child. It's our job to take her along, to help her like it, to help her want it, to help her want to participate in a thing that we know is good for her, because what we, the higher self part, know is that we're delivering that higher frequency gift through us. Okay, so that's all of that is a part 2. And the part 3 is consistently acting from that place. So that means repetitive actions, repetitive actions build habits. And when you do something all the time, it becomes easier because it builds momentum. So instead of feeling like every time you're pushing, you're actually already got the ball rolling, and then it gets easier. By the way, this is exactly what I do with my clients. Like I literally specialize in helping spiritual type of entrepreneurs who have this intangible kind of work with consciousness and healing and other modalities to clearly define the value of their work so that they can verbalize it and bring it to the marketplace correctly. And if they have inconsistent 10K months, to stabilize and then grow to multiple six figures. Like, this is literally what I do with my clients by helping them figure out correct strategies that they can do consistently based on the correct drive, so that they're parenting themselves correctly, essentially, through the process. Instead of being cruel to yourself, overriding yourself, and just pushing through, which is the typical overly electric, negative masculine way, or actually negative feminine, which is where we sort of check out, lean back, and just sit with like, well, I'm just going to meditate and somehow something's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Business requires strategy. So the combination of those two, the knowing of your drive, the commitment to your soul work, and then consistent, correct action, not the pushing type of action, but a consistent, correct action, is what then creates that ease and flow. That's when you get to be in this automated, wealthy version of yourself. So then instead of every time kind of finding it, looking for it, journaling about it for a month, you instead sort of remain in that energy. That helps you weather difficult periods when you have your periods of darkness, so ask yourself, like, what do I want to create today? What must I say today? What wants to come out of me? What is the action that I have to do today in order to land my soul work? Put that in the comments. That is very, very important, because that's what helps you feel this flow and feeling free finally to be the type of you that you always knew you could be. So if you're ready to shift all these internal struggles and really bring that identity all the way down to the cellular level, to your body, so that you are that wealthy version of you that is able to create from the quantum field, then I definitely invite you to apply to work with me. This is literally what I do with my clients. So if you click that link in the description, it will lead you to the questionnaire. When, there's some questions you answer that help me understand sort of what your story is, and we will have a free conversation, no obligation, that I can see in your business what is going on. I can see in you what is going on. It's a business soul strategy call. So it allows you to kind of reconfigure your perspective on your business. What's working, what's not working, why cannot you create yet whatever this thing that you want to create? Where is the wealthy version of you, and where is it missing? And what needs to happen in order for you to actually be there? So click that link in the description so we can set up that free conversation, and I can help you do that in your life. Because this is the time. This is literally your time to land your soul work down here in the third dimension. This is the world needs us right now. So whatever this gift that you have within you, if you're noticing that you're struggling to bring it through, struggling to verbalize it, struggling to commit to doing the work consistently, and because of it your income is inconsistent, this is actually all easily adjustable by understanding the correct drive, by committing to the soul work, by knowing what it is actually, what is your soul expertise, and then creating consistent action that is based on your natural way of being. That is your soul design. So I'm not a typical business coach. I'm clairvoyant, and I can see timelines and possibilities and other things. So in addition to business strategies, I see the other side of reality, sort of to help you land that non-linear part of you into material place so that you can be the wealthy version of you. So click the link in the description, and I'll talk to you soon.